Overwatch 2 Season 13 dropped a few days ago, at least recording this. And with it, we have a bunch of balance changes and a huge shakeup to the game balance-wise. So it's time for another Overwatch 2 Season 13 hero tier list. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Keep in mind, it's going to be a tier list for your solo queue ranked tier players, from your mid-tier silver all the way up to your mid-tier platinum, low-tier diamond. That's where this is going to be for. This is not going to be a top 500 or champion tier list, and there's not going to be a tier list for if you're like in a 4 or 5 stack, because stuff's usually a lot different then. Granted, if you want to use this tier list for reference, if you are playing in like a 4 or 5 stack with your friends and want something to kind of base your stuff off of, this list could be still good for that as well. But this is going to mainly be a solo queue tier list. I also do play on console. I'm a Nintendo Switch player, so keep that in mind. I don't know how much it really matters. I don't think it matters too much, apart from maybe a few heroes, but I'm going to kind of get into this. I'll throw the list on screen for you guys right now. If you guys missed my Season 12 tier list, I'll link both of those at the end of the video. If you guys want to go check out my past season tier list. Apart from that, we're going to hop into this. Leave a like, subscribe, share the video. These videos keep on doing well. Keep on bringing you guys new tier lists updated every single season when we get a bunch of new balance changes and new heroes. So, on screen is the tier list for you guys. We got the SS tiers, the stuff that is the best of the best, the stuff that's going to be needing to get some type of balance changes ASAP. They said they're going to be putting out a small balance patch within about a week and a half, 2 weeks from now. So I'm assuming that's probably going to address a few things like Ramatra mainly, and Sombra. I'm assuming they're going to try to make some more changes too, after people have been complaining about both of those. So some of the balance changes in this as well. Keep in mind, a lot of this could change, because we are going to be getting a small balance patch in about 2 weeks as we're recording this from now. And then we're going to have a mid-season patch here towards probably like the end of, or like mid-November. So keep that in mind. But SS tier is the stuff that's broken. This is the stuff that has literally no drawbacks. You're going to see in 90% of your matches. Pretty much the stuff you pick to win. It's the stuff that you pick to win the game easily with, and has very little drawbacks. The stuff that's overly busted needs to be nerfed significantly. S tier is your stuff that's still incredibly good. It is only being held back by stuff that is in SS tier. Once stuff in SS tier gets nerfed or changed, stuff in S tier could possibly rise up to be some of the best stuff in the game to choose. Some of those type of heroes. Still really good picks though. A+ is your above average stuff. A is more average. It's your overall average heroes. Nothing crazy, nothing bad. Works on most maps, most team comps, that type of thing. B tier is below average. C is more situational. D tier is borderline useless. Maybe only going to be using like one map or one specific situation or one specific reason for those type of heroes. And then F tier is flat out useless. So pretty much anything that's like unplayable. Spoiler, there is not an F tier hero, so keep that in mind. At least that's one good thing with the balance currently. Again, there's not an unplayable hero in the game that's that bad you can't really play him. So there you go, that's a huge spoiler. Without further ado, let's get right into this. There's a lot I do want to talk about. I'm going to try not to make this video incredibly long like some of my past tier lists, but there's a lot I want to talk about here as well. So I'm going to kind of cover some of the main stuff first. We have like there's a few things that I want to cover to start in this. Like the main thing is the top tanks, the best tanks in the game, and probably like the best supports, and then talk about like the best DPS and go from there through all the rest of the cast. First, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be moving Ryan, Orisa, Malga. These are the 3 best tanks in the game right now. They're all going up into SS tier. These are all the best tanks in the game right now. Pretty much the reason is they buffed Malga again. Malga's fucking crazy. If you guys haven't played Malga or played against him, pretty much what they did is they made it so he does a lot more damage with his ignite, so it ignites for a lot longer, so he's able to do a lot more damage. He's pretty much just a tanky DPS, pretty much, that pretty much never dies, unless you have like a Sombra or like an opinionated or something, or a Bastion or something that does a lot of damage. Junkrat's pretty decent into him. There's a few other things, but apart from that, if you don't have that type of stuff, he just sits there and just shits damage and never dies, just wipes your entire team. One of the most frustrating heroes to play against, I think this entire season. The tanks, like the 3 best tanks in the game, these are all frustrating tanks to play against. They really are. I hate playing against all of these tanks. It is not a fun season to play or be playing against the tanks that are good right now. It really is not. Orisa is another one of those tanks that is on the up and up, and the only reason she's really good right now is because she's been getting micro buffs. Like literally every mid-season patch and season patch for the past 3 seasons, ever since she got nerfed. I think it was back in like season 11 or whatever it was. Ever since then, she's been getting like micro buffs. She's back to being incredibly good. People are seeing how good she is, and she's one of the only things that can actually kind of keep these two tanks in check to an extent. And there's a few other things that are also really good that she kind of deals with pretty well. And then you have Reinhardt, which the main thing with Reinhardt, if you guys watch my past tier list, I said Reinhardt was on the cusp of being the meta tank and like the best tank in the game before like a few patches ago when they were slowly buffing him and giving him some quality of life buffs. I told everybody that once they nerf one of the things that is keeping Ryan in check, which was Ramattra. Spoiler, they nerfed Ramattra, so he no longer uses Pummel and actually is able to do damage to shields, which is one of the main checks to Ryan that was keeping him in check to an extent. Now that that's gone, you have Reinhardt being pretty much one of the best tanks in the game. Somebody's going to argue in the comments, oh, Ryan's not a good tank, bro. I'm in blah, 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 high tier ranked game, and Ryan's not a good tank. If you guys are in your lower to mid tier games, Reinhardt literally just pub stomps every fucking lobby. I have went in so many ranked games so far this season, over the past few days of season 13 so far, and literally every game it's either Reinhardt or Risa or Malga, and it's just a swap between all those three, and then once in a while you see maybe 1 or 2 other tanks kind of in there depending on what's being played. Majority of the time, usually if it's a Reinhardt, they just end up rolling the lobby really easily. Your lower to mid tier games, nobody knows how to play against them, and especially with a lot of stuff that's being played into him that used to be good, not being that good anymore, he kind of just runs lobbies, especially in your lower to mid tier games. He is the definition of a pub stomper tank. All you need to do is you just need to fucking charge at people and you swing. People don't know how to react to you, that's the problem. They don't know how to actually play as a team to take you down, and you just get so much free kills. You're kind of able to just roll the game. Especially if you have a team that actually plays with you, and even then if you don't really even need a team to play with you, as long as you at least have one support that's consistently healing you, and like 1 or 2 of your DPS that are actually kind of fighting with you, you can kind of still just roll the lobby the majority of your time. So, incredibly broke. I don't know, I hate playing against Ryan. I really do. They nerfed his shield by 100 health. It didn't do anything. Still really broken. I don't know what they need to do. I think what they need to really do is they need to buff some of the other tanks, or they need to nerf Ryan and like all these 3 tanks. Either they nerf 3 of these tanks, the ones that are best right now, or they buff some of the other ones. And I would prefer they would just nerf Orisa, Malga, and Ryan going forward in the mid-season patch, or whenever that may be. All are just so frustrating to play against. Really, really frustrating. Next, we got the supports. We might as well talk about the 3 best supports in the game and get them out of the way, because might as well talk about them. I'm going to throw them all up into SS tier. We got Juno, we got Ana, we got Baptiste. These are the 3 best supports in the game right now, especially if you're solo queuing. They buffed Baptiste, or he's literally the most brain-dead support in the entire game. He doesn't have like the heals and like the stuff like some other supports have. Like you have to actually aim with your heals, and it's like more of an AoE, so if your team's not trying to play with you and like take in consideration where you're trying to aim the heals, then you can kind of be a little bit worse than some of the other supports in certain cases, but you kind of just make up for it in damage. They reduce his recoil on his gun by like 30%. It is so easy to do damage now, especially headshots. It is absolutely fucking crazy. Baptiste is pretty much what he is he's a support that actually is pretty much a DPS that rivals some of the DPS heroes in the game with how much damage he does. He heals an incredible amount of damage, and he does an incredible amount of damage. He does both. He deals damage and he heals it all, so pretty much what you want. He's one of those supports too, like in your lower to mid tier games, especially solo queuing, you can kind of carry a lobby on if you're really good at him, or at least somewhat good on him. Kind of one of those. Juno, they tried to nerf. They completely missed the mark on Juno. They should have nerfed her ult and her mobility, and they never did. Juno by far has the best ultimate in the entire game. It heals way too much. The damage boost is way too fucking much. The duration is crazy still. I don't know how it's on such a long duration. It's crazy. Best ult in the game by far. The only counter to a Juno ult in a team fight is another Juno ult. Otherwise, you win every single team fight as long as you have a Juno ult on the field when you're fighting. You automatically win the fight. That's how busted it is. Not to mention her mobility. Her mobility is fucking crazy. Instead of nerfing her heals, what they did this patch, they should have nerfed her mobility cooldown by like another 2 to 3 seconds for her mobility, and then they should have nerfed her ult a significant amount. They never did. They touched her healing. They nerfed her healing for no reason and did nothing. She still heals a crazy amount. The reason why you're playing Juno is mainly for her ult and for her mobility, because you never die, and if you never die, you're consistently putting out more heals anyways, because you don't have to go back to spawn, so you're constantly getting uptime. By far the best support in the game right now. I think Juno is the top #1 support. You could argue any of these supports are #1, but at least for me, I think Juno's by far the best support in the entire game. Kind of not really a shocker. I kind of thought she was going to be, especially a season after she was put into the game, and they don't know how to actually fucking nerf her correctly. Dumb balance team. Stupid balance team. And I said it for last season tier list as well. Like, once people get really good at her, she's by far going to be the best support in the game. What happened? There you go. And you have Ana. Ana's by far still like one of the best supports in the game. Innate's broken. Sleep Dart's crazy good. Especially with all three of these tanks. Being able to throw a nade at like an Orisa or a Malga is one of the best checks to both of those. And even being able to sleep like a Ryan during a dash, or like when he's trying to go for a shatter, like in that small time frame, if you can land a sleep there, it's just incredible value. It really is. That's one of the main reasons why I think she's really good right now. She's good into the top 3 best tanks, and she's also really good into a few of the other ones being played, and a lot of the DPS being played as well. And she also supports all these tanks really well at the same time, with like nano and all the heals and the increased healing from the nade and everything. So there you go. There's the top 3 tanks and the top 3 supports. Let's talk about the DPS now, y'all. Top 3 DPS. What are we gonna do? We're gonna be. Where's Reaper? Here's Reaper. Where's the here's Widowmaker. Might as well put her up there. By far, fucking broken. Where's Soldier at on here? Forgot where she. Oh, here she is. Here's Soldier. And what was the other one? There was one other one I was gonna put on there too. That was like on the cusp of being really good in like SS tier. You could probably argue. I forgot which one it was. I had it on here, but I don't know where. It could be we'll talk about Sombra in a little bit. I'm not going to talk about her, but these are probably the 3 best DPS in the game right now. It is Reaper. You could probably argue Tracer's also really good in SS tier, but she's a little bit more skill dependent, so I'm not going to put her in SS tier. These 3 are the best DPS in the game currently. Soldier got buffed. Pretty much what they did with her now is she's literally the best hit scan in the entire game. I guess apart from Widow, if you're good with Widow. But like, if you're not good with Widow, just play Soldier. Pretty much what she is now, she's pretty much release Soldier, where you have constant uptime, and you're just constantly landing railgun shots and just one-tapping people. It's so frustrating to play against. The charge changes that they did with her need to go. They need to be reverted. They made her broken again. She's by far one of the best DPS in the game. Reaper at the same time. Another reason why Reaper is also really good is he pairs really well with all 3 of these supports, and he also does really well with and against all 3 of these tanks. He shreds Orisa, he's really good into Malga, he's really good into Ryan as long as you don't let him swing on you, and you have a way to get away from him as well, with the Wraith form and being able to teleport away. Just incredibly good. Reaper's by far probably the best like dive flank DPS currently in the game, and you have Widow, which is more skill dependent, but I think even if you're just a garbage Widowmaker, you can still roll your games. I think she's just that fucking good. I think what they need to do with Widowmaker going into Season 14, which I said for last few seasons as well, turn her sniper rifle into a projectile. I think that'd be a lot better for her. She's just too fucking good. And another thing too is with the respawn thing, or with the hero selection thing, if you swap, the enemy team is not able to see your counter swap for like 15 seconds. So one of the really common things to do right now is if you're getting rolled, especially on like some of the good Widowmaker maps, is quickly switch to Widowmaker, and you'll be able to get a bunch of free kills before they know that you actually switched to her, because they aren't aware that you switched, and you'll be able to kind of bring the game back or solve the game that way, in like a last ditch effort pretty much, which is a huge thing that everybody's doing. Kind of just pretty much abusing the thing they tried to do to kind of get rid of counter swapping, or make it more of a mystery to counter swapping, with the 15-second thing before it reveals what you're actually playing after you swap mid-match, which is really stupid. So You're also going to be seeing a shit ton of her because she probably has the best mythic skin that they've created. I kind of shit on her mythic skin. It's kind of an entirely different video, but I kind of shit on her mythic skin at the start of the season because I didn't really know how it was. But seeing it in game, it's probably by far the best mythic skin we've gotten currently. I just wish it cost a lot less money because I think it's, especially with the upgrades, it's cost a bunch of fucking money. But if you guys like Widowmaker and you play her, she has by far the best mythic skin in the entire game up until this point. So, looks absolutely badass. I really do like it. Too bad I don't play Widowmaker, but I'm not a scumbag, so I wouldn't know. That being said, there you go. There's the top 3 from each category. That's the shit that really needs to be nerfed going into mid-season or going into Season 14 by far. Let's talk a little bit about Bastion because I think he's actually really good right now. I'm putting Bastion, this is probably the highest I've probably put Bastion in quite a while. He's actually going up to A+ tier. The main reason why Bastion's going up to A+ tier is because he's really good into all these tanks. He's really good into Orisa, he's really good into Malga, and then he's also really good into Ryan. Because if you can mow down Ryan's shield and just keep destroying his shield over and over, he can't really do anything. That's his main way to try to get away and kind of peel for his team as well and for himself. So if you get rid of his shield and just knock that down with your turret form the entire time, then he just kind of falls over and the rest of your team can kind of take advantage of that. He's one of the only heroes in the game that actually also does enough damage numbers to kind of break through all 3 of these tanks when they're being played too. So he actually has a really specific niche now currently, at least with this season, where he's good into a lot of the stuff being played. And Sombra isn't as good, which is another thing that kind of fucked him over last season, which you can actually fight Sombra now as long as she doesn't hack you. So that's another thing he has going for him. Got McCree. I'm gonna put McCree in like A tier. I think McCree's just average. Like, there's nothing really crazy about him currently. Like, I'm not gonna talk about him very much. It's average. I think if you want to hit scan, just play Soldier or even Ashe. I think Ashe is just way better. We got Sombra. I think Sombra's still really good. They tried to rework Sombra, and what they did is they made her from a spawn camping invisibility hero that just sits in spawn camps and makes the support's life hell. And now what they did, y'all, is they changed her to make her a frontline pressure DPS that just stands alongside the enemy team's tank and hacks the enemy team or the other team's tank the entire game. The new playstyle for Sombra now, y'all, is literally you just stand around and play with your tank and you help them just constantly kill the other tank. You hack the absolute fuck out of the enemy tank, and that is your main priority the entire game. So they made her from being a flank DPS, kind of like a spawn camper DPS, or even like a flank DPS, you can argue. And they turned her into a stationary frontline DPS that plays with a tank, and you just hack the same fucking person over and over. That's literally the way you play Sombra now. Did that fix anything? So now what you did is you made the tank role absolutely fucking insufferable, because you gotta play against Sombra now. And if she hacks you, she does 20% more damage to you, which she absolutely fucking melts you. Especially a lot of these tanks that don't have shields. If you get hacked by her, she just fucking melts you with how much extra damage she does. And she just charges so much ult off you constantly. It's crazy. So I really don't know what they were... I mean, I like that stuff they tried to nerf Sombra, but all they really did is they changed her playstyle again. So now she's no longer a flank DPS that spawn camps people and bugs the supports, which she still can do, don't get me wrong. But I think you're not getting the most value out of her if you're not playing her like just playing with your tank and just hacking the enemy team tank and just keep killing that over and over. I think that's the way you play her right now. So they're wondering why people don't like playing tank, and Sombra being that fucking bad against the tanks and making their life insufferable is one of the main reasons why nobody wants to play tank this season. You're going to see a lot less people playing tank. At least me personally, it's been fucking awful. I fucking hate going against Sombra. Again, another season in a row. I thought she was going to be fixed. Playing tank, man, is she fucking insufferable to go against. So now what they did is they pretty much made it so the supports, they don't have to worry about her as much, but now the tanks are the ones that have to sit there and fucking take all the brunt of her damage and her constant hacks and everything. Because she just sits there alongside the enemy tank and hacks the other tank until they just die and just keep on farming them the entire game. Help your tank, farm the enemy tank. Just keep on hacking them and that type of thing. That's all you really do. And then when the enemy tank's dead, then you go after the rest of their team. That's pretty much how you play her. all of the nerfs they really gave her, all it really did is just change her playstyle, which is really fucking sad. Don't get me wrong, I think she's a little bit worse than last season, but at the same time, I think she's so incredibly good. And once people actually a lot more people started learning how to actually play her, which is what I just kind of explained. You can probably argue she's probably going to be even SS tier again. Just a different play style, how you actually play her. So, I don't know. The Sombra mains are going to be all complaining because they keep reworking their hero, but fuck Sombra mains, I hate them. If you're playing Sombra, you're a fucking scumbag. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I wish they would just fucking take her out of the game at this point. If there was one character I would delete from the game, it would probably be Sombra. Either Sombra or Orisa or Malga. One of those three would be the ones I delete. The game would literally not change at all if you deleted, like, all three of those, probably. Or at the very least, one of them. D.Va's still really good. I think D.Va's still... I'm gonna put D.Va in S tier. I think she's still really, really good. She's not as good as, like, some of these other tanks being played. And, like, she's also kind of... She's good into Widowmaker because you can dive Widow, but, like, a lot of this other stuff just kind of shits all over you. They really do. Like, Ana kind of puts you to sleep. As long as she can get around your Matrix, at least. You just eat so much damage, too. Like, that's the main issue with D.Va. She kind of has this season. There's just too much damage, and you're just constantly eating way too much damage. That's at least the problem I've been finding and seeing with her. Genji, I'm going to put in A tier. Not bad, not good. If you're really good with him, you can roll games, but I'm just going to put him in A tier. Venture fucking sucks. Well, let's talk a little bit about Venture because, gosh, she's probably the worst DPS in the entire game, probably. I think Venture's by far the worst DPS in the entire game. I'll put her in D tier. Literally, there is literally no reason to play her. There is literally no reason to play her. Well, let's look at how Venture actually pairs up into some of the stuff in the higher tiers of this list so far. What does Venture do into Reinhardt? Nothing. You get swung on and you get literally 2-hit KO'd by Reinhardt swinging on you. What do you do into Orisa? She stuns you out from going underground, stuns you out, you can't knock her back with Drill Bash. What do you do to her? Literally nothing. She mitigates your damage with Fortify. Like, what do you do to her? Nothing. Malga, what do you do to Malga? Literally nothing. He out-damages you and just shits all over you. Or runs away. Literally, you don't do anything into these top 3 tanks. They all win 1v1s versus you. What do you do versus these supports? Baptiste jumps away. What is it? Ana either sleep darts you or throws a nade at you if she can land a sleep dart on you. Or she throws a nade at you and you can't get any healing if you're getting heals at the time. You can maybe win versus Ana. It depends on the Ana player. That's the one you can maybe win versus if you're really good. Juno, what does she do? Oh, she runs away. She has mobility, she runs away, and then she just shoots at you from a distance, or she throws on a speed ring, and she's able to run away really fast. So out of 3 of the supports that the best ones are being played, you can maybe win a fight versus one of them, at the very least most of the time. What about the DPS? Reaper out-damages you, unless you're landed like a really crazy damage combo on him and catch him off guard. That's the only way you're going to kill him. He also has Wraith form, so you can actually bait out your cooldowns and run away that way. What does Widow do? If you can get close to her, you can win versus her. At a distance, you ain't doing shit to Widow. The only way you can get close to her is if you're able to catch her off guard or like go underground and get close enough. Which most of the time, if they see you coming, they're not going to let that happen most of the time. And then Soldier, what do you do to Soldier? You get headshotted and you get fucking one-shotted by her half the time. And then she slides and runs away. Venture sucks. Venture's fucking garbage right now. Literally does not do anything into like the top stuff being played in the game right now. And not to mention they nerfed her for mid-season, for season 12. They took away 10 points of her shield every time she uses an ability. It may not seem like much, but man, she just fucking falls over and dies now. Ever since then, man, she's fucking garbage. I don't know why they nerfed her. Not only is she the worst character in the game, she never got any skins or any type of cosmetic for the entirety of Season 13. So we're sitting here still waiting for Venture cosmetics too. It just goes to show you like how fucking what they really think of Venture and like how fucking awful they think she is. If you're somebody that hates Venture, shame on you. I feel so bad for her. Especially because she's my most played DPS. Like, even if I can't make her work, she's like literally my best DPS I can play. If I can't even make her work half my matches and I have to sweat my fucking ass off and try to at least do something on her most of the games, there's a huge issue. There really is. If you think she's somehow good, please try playing her yourself. and let me know what you think after that, after like maybe 5 or 10 games. Come back into the comments and let me know how you did. Especially solo queuing. Good luck. What else we have? Hanzo, I'm gonna put an A+ tier. I think Hanzo's actually pretty damn good. They gave him his health back. He's back up to 250 health. If you can land headshots on him, he also has a really good burst. Overall, pretty decent. The only thing you have to be careful of is if you get dove, because you can kind of get dove by some of the stuff in your higher tiers on this tier list so far. So you got to be careful with some of that stuff. Junkrat actually is another really specific niche because he's kind of in the same category as Bastion. He shits damage. He also has mobility, which Bastion doesn't really have. You can actually knock yourself around and like have mobility with the mines and everything, being able to blast yourself through the air. But he shits damage, and he also farms a lot of these tanks that are up in the higher tiers of this list really well. So he does have some type of use currently. I think the only real shitty thing is he loses to all the DPS. So he's really good into some of the tanks and even some of these supports with how much damage he does and how he's able to kind of mobility around and kind of catch people off guard that way. But like you lose to Reaper, you get one-shotted by Widowmaker, there's no way you win versus her. Sojourn literally just fucking one-taps you with a headshot currently. Especially with how much railgun charge she always constantly has now. So like, you lose to all the top DPS, but you're pretty good into almost everything else. You can at least do something into him. So I don't know, he's kind of in a weird spot currently. It's kind of coming down to what you really want. Either you want Bash and that shit's more damage, or you want Junkrat does a little bit less damage, but has some type of mobility, but still does a lot of damage. I don't know. Has a niche currently, but I don't think it depends what you're going against. I wouldn't put him really higher. Lucio's going to A+. I'm not going to talk about him very much. I think if you want to play a support, like, you're better off just playing Juno. Unless you're playing like a Juno Lucio comp, which could be a little bit common. It's pretty common still, but for like a hyper speed boost comp, but you're kind of lacking on heals then. But if you're playing that comp, then he's a little bit better. But apart from that, I wouldn't really play him that much. Just kind of, it's above average. He's not bad, not good anyway. Not really too much to talk about. May at A tier, nothing crazy. Just gets shit on by a lot of stuff in your higher tiers. That's the main problem. Not going to talk about her very much. Mercy, I think, is still really good, but I'm not going to put her higher than an A+ tier. The reason why, if you're playing Mercy, is just because you're either a Mercy player that loves her because she gets skins every update, and usually about 3 to 4 skins per update, or you're somebody that plays her because you don't know how to play anything else, and you just rather play Mercy, where you just click 2 buttons. That's all you really do. Probably the easiest support to play in the game, and most brain-dead support to play in the game, besides Moira, that takes literally no skill to play. So that's probably the reason why you're playing her. I think Bluebeam needs to be reworked too. I think if you are playing her, you're using her for Bluebeam. Bluebeam's still fucking crazy. That's the main reason why people are using her. Pharah is actually pretty good. I would put Pharah actually in S tier. The one good thing about Pharah right now, I think she actually is pretty solid, just mainly because you have Widowmaker to worry about and you have Soldier to kind of worry about. Apart from that, you do match up pretty well on a lot of the other stuff kind of being played currently. So if you're good at her, you can make her work. I don't know, I wouldn't put her much higher than S tier though, and that's kind of pushing it depending on what team you're going against. Hog's pretty damn bad. Hog, I'm gonna put him in C tier. I think he's still really garbage. He's not as bad as Venture, like borderline useless, but like Sombra being able to stand there and hack the tank all game. You have Bastion on the rise in usage, which he doesn't like going against. You get melted by Bastion. You don't really mind going against Junkrat because that's an easy kill for you if you can just hook him, but there's a lot of other stuff you don't like going against. Ana, you don't really like going against. Reaper, Widowmaker, especially at range, does a fuck ton of damage to you. You're kind of just a walking hitbox or walking target for her. Reinhardt, you really don't do much at range or at close range at all. He just sits and swings at you and pins you. And like you have to shoot into a shield forever before you're able to do anything, which he literally does nothing because he just walks away and gets his shield back most of the time. Orisa, you've always had a bad matchup into unless they're garbage. Malga, even better than he was last patch. So you get shit on even more by Malga now. It is literally almost impossible to play Roadhog into Malga unless you're able to hook him with a team that coordinates and like hook him away from his team. And you have like a Bastion or a Junkrat or some other DPS that shit damage and he can like single him out from the rest of his team with like a hook. That's the only way you're going to be winning that matchup. Ask me how I know, because that's the only way I've been winning against him. Or at least trying to, if I actually have a good team. And Reaper shits on, like we talked about the DPS, they all shit all over you. So, and then you have Sombra, which is a tank shredder now. So, what's Sombra's favorite thing to do? Hack the Roadhog that has no shield, lock him out of his heal, and then sit there and farm ult and farm damage off of him while he can't heal up because he has the hack damage boost on him. There you go. Roadhog sucks. I don't know why they didn't buff him. Buff him for mid-season. Really bad. Or nerf some of these other tanks, please. That'd be great. If you guys don't know either, like I'm literally a 122 ranked Nintendo Switch Roadhog player, so if there's anybody that knows Hog currently, it's gonna be me. Soldier is literally your definition of average. Not gonna talk about him very much. Symmetra going to B tier, very situational, but if you have a team comp that actually plays with you and like on some of your more closed maps and some specific choke points, you can make her work, but I don't know, she just kind of gets ran down and falls over, especially if the enemy team targets you. And if you're solo queuing, you need a team to try to make her work, and like if you have no team to back you up, she just falls over and does nothing half the time. Torb, I'm gonna put Torb at A tiers, average. Nothing really crazy. Oh, main issue with him is he's a walking head hitbox when Widowmaker's really good and like Reaper's really good. So Reaper just lands on top of you and literally like two shots you because no matter where he shoots on you, they're going to be headshots pretty much. So those are the two main things holding him back. Same with Soldier. Tracer really good. I'm going to put her at S tier. It kind of comes down to the player though. If you're really good at her, like at the very least, like an average or above average player, Tracer player, you can make her work. I think she's really, really good. Winston going right into C tier. First of all, I barely see anybody playing Winston still at all. Don't know why nobody's not playing him. There has to be a reason why, and when I do see him play, he just falls over and does nothing half the game. Don't know why. I'm not going to talk about him very much more. Needs some type of buffs that he never got, which I think is the reason why, especially in your solo queue games, he's not that good. Zarya's still really good. Put her A+ tier. I'm not going to put her higher than A+ tier, though. Does get a lot more value in like your lower to mid tier lobbies though, because everybody doesn't know how to do anything and they just shoot at all her barriers, so she's constantly running around at 100 charge. If that's the case, I'd put her SS tier if your team's that fucking stupid playing against her, but for the benefit of the doubt, I'll put her A+ tier for that. Zen, I'm gonna put Zen at A tier. I think the main issue with Zen is like the Discord orb's good, but like your healing's just garbage apart from an ult. And like you just get killed by everything. There's so much shit that just dives you and you just die constantly. You're such an easy kill. That's the main problem with Zen currently. Doomfist. Oh, there's another tank that loves getting hacked by Sombra and all the other shit that just fucking destroys them. What do you do versus some of the other stuff in the SS tier? Literally nothing. Literally nothing. I'm gonna put him in A tier, like being generous, but if you're really good, you can put him higher, but like he just gets shut down by so much shit right now. Moira's going into S tier. There's another support that literally is probably the most brain-dead support to play in the game. They buffed her damage as well for last patch, so she's pretty much a support that does a good amount of healing, but also does a fuck ton of damage. So I don't know. If you're solo queuing, usually most of the time you're not even have a Moira that heals you. There's going to be an enemy team's backline half the game, just farming damage, whatever. Still really good though. Brig, I think, is pretty bad. They nerfed her this patch too. I'm gonna put her Brig at C tier. I think she's by far the worst support in the game. I really don't think she literally doesn't do anything this patch. I've even tried playing her like a lot so far this season, over the last few days. I can't get her to work at all. She just gets rolled by everything. She needs some major buffs, and they ended up nerfing her instead of buffing her because she was good at high tiers of play. Your top 500 and above. Oh yeah, we gotta balance the game around them. That's the reason why they nerfed her, y'all. Because of the top 500 and champion tier players, 1% of the player base got Brig nerfed for no reason. I think she has to have like one of the lowest play rates too in like your lower to mid tier lobbies for ranked. I literally don't see her being played that much at all yet, and when I do, she literally does nothing. Wrecking Ball's going to B tier. A little bit better because Sombra got reworked, but at the same time now she's just turned into a tank shredder, so not has much really changed, not really. And like a lot of other shit kind of destroys you. You really don't do much. Ashe going up in the S tier. One of the better hit scans in the game. Bob's a lot better. Still really, really good. Sigma's going to A+ tier. Just your above average, consistent tank. If you don't know really what to play, play Sigma. He's always a good pick on like pretty much all your maps with most teams. Echo, I'm going to probably put in A+ tier. Not really too much has changed. Probably like the same as last patch. Junker Queen, I think, is struggling a little bit because of all the other shit just kind of wins versus her. The main issue too, she has kind of the same problem as Roadhog with like Sombra being like a tank buster now too, and like all this other shit being played. She loses to a lot of this other shit. You get destroyed by Widow at range. Reaper just goes in your face and just destroys you. Like all these other tanks, like what do you do versus Ryan? Like your cleave or whatever goes through his shield, but like apart from that, like what do you do to him? Nothing. He just swings all on you and pins you. Orisa shits all over you. Malga out damages you and never dies. Like she literally doesn't do much into like a lot of this top tier stuff. She really doesn't. Unless you're incredibly good or the enemy team's really bad, that is. Kiriko's kind of falling off. I'm being real with you guys, I think Kiri's kind of falling off. I'm going to put her at A+ tier. Not nearly as good as some of these other things, but I think the main issue is they got to nerf Juno and they got to nerf like Ana and Bap. Which I don't think they're going to nerf Bap, they just buffed him. I don't know why they would nerf him again. But at the very least, like, Juno and Ana need to get some type of nerfs. Even, like, Moira. Before she's a little bit better. I think she's kind of lacking, especially heal-wise, currently. She has a really good ult still, and, like, she does consistent damage. But, like, over the last few seasons, she's kind of fallen off a little bit. If I'm being real with you guys. There's not really much to play her over Juno, because Juno kind of just does her job way better. Ramatra, man, how the mighty have fallen. Wow, is he fucking garbage. They nerfed this guy into the fucking pits, y'all. Like, this guy got fucking destroyed. Balance-wise. They took the only thing that made him good, which was the pummel, like, going through the barriers. And being able to break barriers and go right through them without having to actually break the barrier. Which would keep stuff like Sig, like Ryan, and a few other things in check that had barriers. And they took it away. The rumor is they're going to be reverting that in, like, a week or two with a small balance patch. And they're going to try to balance him in some other way, but I don't know. Ever since then, like up until then, like I gotta put him in like B tier. Man, is he not that good. He does okay damage and everything. Like his damage numbers are still pretty good, but like there's literally no reason to play him. Like why would you play him to like over some of these other tanks? Like there's literally no reason to play him. That was the main reason to play him, and they took away the main reason to play him. The niche he had over a lot of the other tanks that made him unique and gave him identity is gone. Lifeweaver, I'm going to put it A tier. I think the main problem with Lifeweaver, that's still an issue with him, is he's too passive. They buffed his ammo count on his pin needles or whatever his fire is for his damage this past season. It didn't really do much. It gives him more extra damage, but he's still too passive. That's the main issue with Lifeweaver. He's mainly a heal bot that's just there to support your team. If your team's garbage, then you automatically lose. That's the main problem with Lifeweaver. He has no play potential at all on his own. You're kind of really, like, you're like 90% reliant on your team to actually do the most stuff for you, and you're just there to kind of enable him. And I call him the babysitter support because that's kind of what he is in your lower to mid-tier games. Kind of helps the people that kind of play really stupid by being able to pull him out with like a life grab and all, and like the tree just kind of keeps him. It's like a kind of a team fight, like winning ult, apart from like a Juno ult. It's probably like the second best support fight winning ult, which is like a tree of life, which wins most of your fights, especially like a team that's not really the greatest, that needs a lot of heals and to win fights. I don't know. I think he's actually my most played support now, actually, too. So, who knew, y'all? My most played support towards the end of, or like towards after like season 10 of Overwatch was going to be Lifeweaver, ever since he got put into the game. If only they would give him some cool skins, because I want a really cool skin for him, but all the skins he's been getting are garbage. Then we have Alari, which I think is still really good. I'm going to put her at like A+ tier. I'm just not going to put her higher because like she's just really reliant on the totem. If your totem is gone, she literally doesn't do much at all. Her heals really lack. That's the main issue. I think the only good thing, it kind of comes down to like if you're going against dumb players or not, because good players are going to try to seek out your totem and you just kill it every single time, so it goes on cooldown. But if you can put your totem in like a spot where nobody really looks, because a lot of people don't really look look like certain places, at least on their screen. If you can put it like out of range or like on like a really cool angle or something really weird that people are not going to look at, you can kind of get a lot more value that way, especially in lower to mid-tier lobbies. So it kind of more team situational support, depends on the enemy team and how much they're going to be destroying your totem. If they don't destroy it much, he's a lot better. If they do, then you're better off just switching and playing something else most of the time. That's the problem. Kind of gotta take a reading and kind of see how your enemy team is playing versus you. She's still really good though. She does solid damage, really solid all. Like she has everything she wants, but she's too reliant on the fucking totem. That's the main issue. And I think they nerfed it way too much because the fucking pro players and high tier players complain. They nerfed it like 1 or 2 seasons ago and hasn't really been that good since then. I don't know. That is the entire list, y'all. That is the entire list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If there's anything I forgot to explain, let me know as well. If you guys have anything to add, let me know. Leave a like, subscribe, share the video if you guys made it this far. Really appreciate you guys watching the entire list. Do not go into the comments down below. I probably should have said this at the start of the video because there's somebody that's going to do it. Do not go into the comments down below and ask why something is in a certain tier or if I did not talk about something when you did not watch the video. You make yourself look really fucking dumb. Watch the entire video and then go into the comments and comment whatever you're trying to say. Because I guarantee you a lot of the comments, a lot of people that don't watch the video, I answer what they're trying to ask in the video. If they would have just watched the video, it would have been, like, it just makes themselves look really dumb. So, a lot of the shit I talk about in the video probably answers what they were asking or the shit they were trying to say and makes them really look stupid, so. Apart from that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Overall, the balance of the game, I think the balance for Season 12 was actually a lot better. I would actually prefer Season 12 balance to this current season so far. That's just me personally, though, because I fucking hate playing against Ramatra. Or, not Ramatra, Ramatra, I wish I'd play against him. He's dead. Reinhardt, Orisa, and Malga, I fucking hate playing versus those. I'm actually getting real sick and fucking tired of going against Juno as well. Like, she's not the worst to play against, but, like, with how much mobility she has, it's really difficult to kill her, especially with people getting really good at playing her now, which is another issue. Always hated playing against Ana, especially as tank. Hate playing against her. Baptiste is another one with how much damage he shits out and how much healing he does. Same with the DPS. All the best DPS in the game are so fucking frustrating to play against. Even like Tracer. Like Sombra being a tank buster now just makes tank's life fucking miserable. Like that's an awful balance wise. They literally fixed nothing. They just changed their playstyle with balance changes. Huge fail on the balance team's part. If you want an absolute failure balance-wise throughout the entirety of Overwatch 2 so far, I think it's Sombra. They tried to fucking rework her. Not once, but I think like twice. They gave her like a soft rework to start with, and then they reworked her again, and it still didn't work, and now they nerfed her into the ground thinking that would work, and all it did was just change her playstyle. She's still just as good, but she just plays differently. Clowns. Clown balance team. Who would have thought from Overwatch 1 when she was balanced, changing her from when she actually was balanced and just had a specific niche and she wasn't overbearing to the entire game, changing that because it's just Overwatch 2, which the 2 doesn't really matter anymore, would break her, and then you'd have these balance issues down the line. Who would have thought? Guarantee you the balance team never did. That's for sure. Overall, though, like the majority of your balance is like around A tier to S tier, so. Or around about A+ tier, which is kind of what you want. So overall, you could argue this season really isn't the worst, but it kind of depends what you really like playing against. I hate playing against all the stuff that's in the higher tier, especially your S tier stuff. Nerf that shit into the fucking ground, please. Then you have poor old Venture down here in D tier, being the worst hero in the entire fucking game. Poor Venture. Justice for Venture in the comments down below. Give this motherfucker a goddamn skin and give her some balance changes that actually buff her and make her viable to play. Please. Holy fuck, I have never seen such an injustice to a character in a game before. They just do not give a fuck about Venture at all. It is so sad. Whatever. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, share the video. I'm gonna get out of here. Peace out, everybody.